Rolls Royce pull up, black boy hop out. This is the Peng Sports Podcast, episode 36 with Kamal C. Daniels. It is currently 7:32 a.m. November the 3rd. Episode 36 of the Peng Sports Podcast, the perfect square episode. 6 times 6 equals 36. Square root of 36 is 6. If you don't know what a perfect square episode is, or a perfect square is, no worries. It's not something you need to be successful in life. Good to know, but not something you need. How are you all doing today? How are you all doing this Wednesday? How are you doing Thursday? Whenever you listen to this, how are you doing? How's your evening? How's your morning? How's your midday? Remember we talked about this in earlier podcasts? Do I remember? I've done so many of these, I don't remember which podcast to reference. But we don't have a proper greeting for 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Because it's not really good afternoon. Good afternoon is like a 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock kind of thing. But that's neither here nor there. What I really want to know is, first, how your week's going? How are you doing? And how do you come back? How do you come back? I know how Manchester United comes back. I don't think I've ever pulled for Manchester United so hard, except for this week. They played Atalanta yesterday. I wasn't really pulling for them yesterday, but this weekend I was pulling for Manchester United harder than I've ever pulled for them. Outside of maybe Champions League group stage 2017, when they were in the same group as Wolfsburg. Was it 2017? It may have been 2018. I think it was 2017, 2016, maybe 2015. In that range of years, 2015 and 2017. But I remember I pulled for them. I was sort of pulling for them hard then. But how do you come back? Believe it or not, Manchester United without their full squad isn't as good as they are with an unhealthy squad. How do I want to say that? Believe it or not, Manchester United with a full squad is better than they are with an injured squad, is what I meant to say. Or what I was trying to portray, I should say. Believe it or not, Believe it or not, having one of the best center backs in the world, they're better than when he's injured. I know it's shocking, but it's true. Believe it or not. And is Ollie still in 2 over his head? Is that still a question? Because a manager that's in 2 over his head doesn't come back and win 3-0 at Spurs and then go to Italy, Atalanta, and tie 2-2 being down twice in the same game. Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo, Ronaldo's phenomenal. But you got to give some credit to the coaching. Varane got injured, so what does he do? He puts in Greenwood. He changed it up a little bit. They scored both their goals without Varane. One of their goals scored against them was with Varane. So coaching has to play some role into it. Last season we sort of discussed, and it's not on the same level, same magnitude of injuries as Liverpool, right? But when they lost Virgil van Dijk, we sort of gave Liverpool a pass. Is that pass warranted because they won the Premier League last year? They won the Champions League 2 years ago. So maybe it was acceptable. This Manchester United team hasn't won anything, I believe, since 2015 or definitely since Jesse Lingard's goal, right? In the FA Cup final against Crystal Palace. No, they've won Europa Leagues with Jose. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I like it. I like adjustment. I like adjustments, man. I like adjustments. Because it would have been very easy for Varane to come back and he put Maguire, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw. That's your back line. No, he switches to a 3 at back. Right? Lindelof gets injured against Atalanta, but against Spurs. Right? He switches to a 3 at back, puts Lindelof, Varane, Maguire. That's how we're rolling. I'm going to change it up. They played a 5 at back. It was officially a 3 at back, but it's really a 5 at back. But they played a 3 at back. They said, Cavani, you go press. Ronaldo, you finish. And Rashford, if they give you a chance, you punish them. And they showed up and showed out. How many times do we see managers have teams that give up on them? They give up. This was a perfect opportunity to give up for Manchester United. We're going to get a new coach. We're going to get Conte. We're going to get who, what, when, where, why. We're going to get the next great manager. No. And it's happened habitually with this Manchester United team, where the back's against the wall and they come back. How do you come back is the question I have for you and for Ole. How do you come back? It's in his DNA. We mentioned this last week. He was a part of one of the greatest comebacks in sports history. He's a part of the club known for called the comeback kings. That's the first time I ever heard that term. Comeback kings, Manchester United. He's a part of the club. It's in his DNA to come back. I have a question for you. Another question for you. Over these past 2 weeks, how many points has Liverpool gotten and how many points has Manchester United gotten? Liverpool's gotten 4, Manchester United's gotten 3. Who's had a more difficult schedule? Manchester United. I'll say this again. This is sort of a side tangent. I don't truly believe in Chelsea. I'm not saying that because they won 1-0 in the Champions League yesterday. It's understandable. Don't have your best full squad, I guess. You know, if you win 1-0, win tie with not your best squad, with no chemistry. I'm saying Chelsea, I don't fully believe in Chelsea because they played a Liverpool team early in the season. In form, unbeaten, but a Liverpool team early in the season. Shout out to Napoli, who's unbeaten in Serie A. Also AC Milan, but Napoli, Koulibaly is one of my favorite players. That's why I'm giving them a shout out. Insigne, Mertens. I love those players. I love Napoli. I've never been to Naples, but I like the players who play for Napoli. Anywho, I'm not fully confident in Chelsea. They lost to a City team, 1-0, It's just a thought that sprung into my head last night when I was thinking about the Premier League and how much we give credit and discrediting and XYZ. Chelsea, not totally, fully on that bandwagon. I think I told you guys to get off the bandwagon not now. Well, you can get off it now, but I told you to get off the bandwagon a few episodes back. Again, I do so many of these, I don't know which one. It was in the 20 to 25s, I'm assuming, guessing, predicting, forecasting. Even though it's already happened. You can't predict something. Anywho, there's a reason why we play 38 games in the Premier League season. And remember, you're rarely going to have positions marked because of goal differential. So you're not going to be 5th place because you scored less goals than Burnley. No. Usually Burnley's going to be ahead of you. Brighton's going to be ahead of you because they have more points than you. Usually. So, again, it's a one game, a one-off. It happened the year before. They came back. They play City this weekend, a team that they play fairly well. If they can get a point from City, just like Liverpool did, unlike Chelsea did, like Spurs did, we'll talk about Spurs a little later, you'll be in good shape. And that 5-0 victory is 2 weeks away now. You're first in your groups in Champions League. I don't know what position they are in the Premier League. Really, positions don't really matter. That's not a huge thing. After the Boxing Day and Christmas break and probably the end of transfer windows when we really need to start looking at positions. But now it doesn't matter as much because Spurs were top of the league last season before Christmas, around December-ish time. And they fired their manager at the end of the season. So, but Ronaldo scored twice against Atalanta. He sort of owns that team with Juventus and with Atalanta. He sort of owned that team. And we're seeing how Juventus is struggling without Ronaldo. In Serie A, not in Champions League. They're one of the first 2 teams to qualify. But we're seeing how they struggle without Ronaldo. But he scored against Spurs. And Nuno got fired for Spurs. And now I start to see why Manchester United is one of the most iconic brands in sports with the way they run their organization, program, however you want to call it, club. And why some teams are still just trying to get a trophy, any kind, any type, you know? I understand. Let me ask you another question. This is the question podcast. I mean, I asked you a question when we talk about baseball and football, but let me ask you another question. If Tottenham win on Saturday, when they play Sunday or Saturday. If Tottenham would have won Sunday or Saturday, does Nuno get sacked? If they would have lost 2-1, does Nuno get sacked? 3-1, does Nuno get sacked? I guess the 3-1 depends. I guess it depends. Because if it was 3-1 after the Rashford goal, maybe he gets sacked. But the reason why I'm proposing this is because you're firing him off of a game? Because that's what it comes down to. I truly believe, because if they don't lose that game, Nuno still has a job. 100% in my opinion. If they lose the game 2-1, Nuno still has a job. If Rashford doesn't score that last goal, Nuno still probably has a job. So you're basing the firing of a manager, sacking a manager because of one performance. Spurs. Welcome all. Spurs is a team out of form. A team out of form who was one win away from being top 4 in the league. They beat Manchester United. They're top 4 in the league. For a team that's not in form, and a team that has your best 2 players, Son, Kane, not playing well, and you're still going to be 4th in the league, that looks decent to me. You're not at your best and you're still performing, you're still getting results? That's impressive. 10 games in the Premier League. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's a Spurs thing 100% in my opinion. And I'm pro manager / pro player podcast. This is a pro player, pro manager podcast. So if you came for me to sympathize with fans and sympathize with the media or the majority, I don't know the majority, just most people, most of the people that are talking are saying that are against Nuno and against, and with Spurs. Just like last week, most of the people were against Ole, except Gary Neville, and with the sacking of him. It's a fan thing. This is what fans do. It's what fans do. They get in the heat of the moment and don't take a step back. That's what they do. So, anywho, it's just a fan thing. Them booing booing the decision of subbing out Lucas Moura for Bergwijn, even though Spurs didn't look threatening at all with Lucas Moura. So changing it up was sort of essential. I mean, but anywho, that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to attack the fans. I'm here to discuss the business done by Spurs. 10 games in the Premier League. As I said, Marcus Rashford doesn't score that last goal. Does Nuno really get fired? No. One win away from being top 4 when you were playing bad. Chelsea's been playing well. Liverpool's been playing well. City's been playing well. And you were going to be in the same caliber as them? That sounds really good to me. Like you're in a good position. A manager who hasn't figured it out yet, doesn't know his best midfield, doesn't know his best defense. Dyer and Romero don't have any chemistry. I guarantee you if Dyer and Sanchez were playing back there, it's not a 3-0 victory for Manchester United. He's figuring it out. He started Tanganga. He clearly doesn't know his best team, so give him time to figure it out. I just don't understand the business side of it. Are you saying because Conte is available, you get him? Conte was available during the summertime. If you wanted him the whole time. So now Anywho, I mean, it just sounds like shady business to me. A little grimy. Don't always trust appearances. They wear white and they're clean, but it just sounds like a little grimy business. You give a person 10 games. Growing pains happen. It's supposed to happen. When you first get a job, you're not supposed to be good at it right away. You're supposed to figure it out. But if you're still producing results and you don't know what you're doing, just imagine when you start to figure it out. When you take a step back and look at the situation, it may not be as bad as you guys think. Not you all, as you think. I say it again, man. He never figured out the midfield. He never figured out the attack. And you need time to figure stuff like that out. I think it was 100%, 200% wrong of Tottenham Hotspurs to fire Nuno Espirito Santos, if that's how you pronounce his name. I thought it was wrong. And you start to look at it, a club that hasn't won a trophy in X amount of years, you start to look at it and say, was it really Pochettino's fault? Is it really Jose Mourinho's fault? And is it really Nuno's fault? You take a step back and you look at some things. Because this is a history thing. This has happened before. Because Poch, who allowed his team to qualify for the Champions League before, Champions League final year before, qualified for Champions League, balled out, not jet lag. What they call the thing on when you're flying and on a jet? Turbulence. Please comment below if you know what the proper name of it is. But I believe it's turbulence. Have a little turbulence and you get rid of him. And now he's in Paris living his best life. So you could have had Messi, Spurs. Maybe not. But I'm just saying. It's just a little shady business. And you see what the old saying is, right? What comes around goes around. This happened with another club in North London, Arsenal. Sack Unai Emery. Growing pains is what happens. When someone's growing and figuring it out, you don't tell a teenager to stop growing just because he has some pains. You tell him to get through it, work through it. You know? But that's neither here nor there. But as I said, with Unai Emery, Arsenal sacked Unai Emery. Now look at him. In Champions League, Europa League final champion. How do you come back from adversity? Nuno will be back. And last week, I have to say this. Last week, I was drinking water and I thought it sounded aesthetically pleasing. And it didn't when I listened back to it. I will still drink water during the podcast, but I think I'm going to try to drink it more gracefully. Gracefully is maybe the wrong word, but to make it sound more aesthetically pleasing, because it's all about aesthetics, ladies and gentlemen. The colors for the Peng Sports Podcast aren't accidental. It's all about aesthetics. Now, where was I? I took a break because when I said growing pains, I thought of a term in abnormal psychology, that a class that I'm taking. I'm sort of reviewing for it. And the disability is coordination disability disorder. Hold up, let me check it again. Let me go through. Am I doing the most right now? No. How many people listen to this podcast? 5? 6? 7? This is just a ride. Developmental Coordination Disorder, CDC. That's how I remember it. CDC, Developmental Coordination Disorder. It's basically a disorder when people struggle with the basic motor functions. For example, right? So people with this kind of disorder sort of struggle with basic things like sitting, walking, crawling. You know, basic things. Now is it hold up. Comorbid with other diseases? I'm not too sure. I know like Tourette's is comorbid with ADHD. Attention deficit / hyperactivity disorder. I have to do more reviewing. How did I do on the test last week? Decent. It was out of 110 points, so I thought I did worse than I actually got, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? It was actually out of 100 points, so I'm good. She drops the lowest test grade. The lowest test was test 2, actually. So, hope she's going to drop test 2. We're in good shape in that class. I have a higher grade. Not a better feeling in the world than having a better grade than you thought you did. I thought I was failing that class. No, I thought I had a low B. Turns out I have a higher grade than that. Anywho, Arsenal, North London. Did not think they'd be as good as they are. Definitely thought they would be better than how they were reacting at the beginning of the season. Definitely thought they'd be better than that. All right, I'm drinking water. Tell me how it sounds. What point is this? 25:31. Maybe a little earlier. Do a little edits. Anywho, 25:31. 25:30. 25:25. It's going to be 25 to 40. 25 minutes and 25 seconds to 25 minutes and 40 seconds. That's the range. All right? We're talking about football for a very long time, and about school and about life. This is the Peng Sports Life podcast. If you didn't know, we give life advice and we talk about sports. Because sports are a representation of life in itself. If you don't understand yourself, then I suggest you participate in the sports of watching. Facts. Anyway, I thought they finished 6th or 7th, but going an 8-game winning streak or 8-game non-losing streak, undefeated streak, football is a little different. It's not really undefeated, but they tie and that count. Anywho, congratulations to Arsenal. How do you come back from adversity? How do you come back? We know how Arsenal comes back. A young team, though. So if they fall off the tracks a little bit, it's expected. They're a young team with chemistry, it seems like. It looks like they have chemistry. And it looks like they have experience. This Arsenal team is legit, ladies and gentlemen. Legit. If they finish top 4, congratulations. If they finish top 4. Now, they may go through another down period because they're young. It may not, but it may happen. So, if it happens, relax. Relax. It's getting cold outside, especially in London, especially in Europe. It's gonna happen. Unless you're Manchester City, Liverpool, or Bayern Munich, these teams dip in form. For some reason, Bayern Munich, Manchester City, and Liverpool get better when it's cold outside. That's neither here nor there for me to discuss what they're doing, but it's called class, I guess you could say. They have it. But Spurs, hopefully Conte can turn the team around. Premature sacking, yes. Good luck. But the list has changed. What are you talking about, Kamal? What has changed? The list has changed. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the National Football League. Behind him is Lamar Jackson. But Aaron Rodgers is number 1. Congratulations, Aaron. You're back up top. I didn't lose faith in you. Just Lamar was balling out. It's just what happens sometimes, right? But he's back. Before I get into the NFC, I want to briefly touch on the Chargers and the Bengals, right? And like the team that Aaron Rodgers beat on Thursday, the Arizona Cardinals, the Bengals and the Chargers are in the same position as the Cardinals were last year, if that makes sense. Where both teams are probably going to be very good soon, and they're very good now, actually. But they're missing one aspect of the triad of success. Remember, the triad of success, I may have discussed this, but the triad of success, we've talked about this, you know it, say it with me. Chemistry, experience, and talent. Say it again, the triad of success in sports. Chemistry, experience, and talent. Honestly, that works with all of them. Outside of this sort of, in regular life, you don't necessarily need talent as long as you work hard and give effort. So in real life, it's chemistry, experience, and hard work / talent / effort. Okay? But the Bengals and the Chargers are missing the experience part. Because experienced teams, I don't care how good or who or when or what or why, the Chargers, if they had more experience, wouldn't have lost that game to the Patriots. The Bengals surely would have not lost that game to the Jets. Shout out to the Jets. The Jets are going to be in the same position that the Bengals and Chargers are next year. It's just the passing of the baton, if that makes sense. They're going to be the same position. They're going to start out well. They may start at 2-0 in the 2022-2023 season. But they're going to have some, as I said earlier, growing pains. But you don't stunt the growth. You let it happen. You don't fire the Jets coach. You let him grow with the pains. It's going to happen. But anyways, the Jets are probably going to start at 2-3-0. But because they lack experience, they're probably going to finish the season 9-8. Like the Bengals. I don't know. But the Chargers may finish the season 9-8. Next year, they may start out 5-0. The Bengals, same thing. They may finish the season 9-8. But they're probably going to start next season 5-0. And probably make the playoffs. Probably win their division. Probably not shock a lot of people. Like the Cardinals are. I know it's a hot take me choosing the Cardinals winning the division. Anywho, we'll talk about that in NFC predictions. Anywho, I just said anywho twice in the last 30 seconds. Anywho, I just said it again in a whole minute. 3 times in 1 minute. But the Chargers and the Bengals are in good shape, but they're just in that position where they're missing one piece of the triad of success, and that is experience. Chargers can sprinkle a little bit more, well, they'll probably draft a little bit more talent defensively. Same with the Bengals. Probably draft a little bit more talent defensively. Shore the defense up a little bit. Maybe get some free agents. But outside of that, they're right on their way. Right on their way to be the best, one of the best teams in the league. But they're 1 year away. And they're not 1 year away from being 1 year away. They're 1 year away. Exactly. Alright? Plus, bad losses build chemistry. They do. The other team that lost to the Jets, the Titans, are on a 4-game winning streak right now. And they just got Adrian Peterson. So, Bengals, look out. 4-game winning streak, and you may be able to sign Le'Veon Bell if he gets released by the Ravens. Or Jamal Charles. Remember Jamal Charles? Kansas City, Texas? Baller. Anywho. You know, as I mentioned Adrian Peterson, there's some players that you wish won. You hope they win a Super Bowl. You know? Like Larry Fitzgerald, Frank Gore was another player where you're just like, I hope they can somehow, some way win a Super Bowl. You know? Won't always work out. Frank Gore, of course, didn't get his Hall of Famer. He's got to be a Hall of Famer. Frank Gore never won a Super Bowl. Larry Fitzgerald never won a Super Bowl. Larry Fitzgerald may not be retired. I thought he was, but no, he may come back. Anywho. Okay. The comeback, I was going to name this the comeback podcast, but because I said anywho 700 times in the past 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to name this the Anywho episode 36. My original thought was Peng Sports Podcast episode 36, Perfect Square episode. That's before I started doing the podcast. Then comeback episode. Alright? Now the Anywho episode. I like the Anywho better. Anyhow, you know, I've done almost every single saying that I say a lot on here. I've done have I named an episode? You know? If I haven't, I need to get on that. Next episode 37, I need to start making promises to myself that I can't keep. But again, I've said this before. Make promises to yourself than someone else. But because I think I've said I'm going to name another podcast an episode the next week, but then the next week a better podcast name showed up. So if I haven't named an episode the You Know podcast, next week I may name it 37. Podcast, Peng Sports Podcast, episode 37. The You Know podcast. Because you know more than me. But yeah, Adrian Peterson is on that list. The Super Bowl, wanting to win a Super Bowl list. How do you come back? He came back from the ACL injury. Congratulations, Adrian Peterson. Still in the NBA. Okay. Still in the NFL. But the Bengals will be fine. And the Chargers will be fine. I mean to say Chargers. I did it. I know it's Chargers. But the Chargers will be fine. Bengals will be fine. Just, they're 1 year away from being the Cardinals. That's what I'm trying to say. And the Jets they're next in the line. They're next in the line, 100%. The Jaguars, they're going to probably skip a few people. They'll probably be Super Bowl contenders next year. But anywho. And the Chargers are also one of the greatest coaches of all time. So there's no shame in that. All right. The NFC. And I think I said that there was supposed to be a guest this week. No. There will not be a guest this week. Again, make promises to yourself, not to other people. But let's get to the NFC North. Green Bay will win the NFC North. Hot take, I know. It's sort of a risky take, but I'm willing to put my neck on the line for this. But I'm just going to guess Green Bay will win the division. NFC South. Jameis got injured. But the Saints still beat the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers should win the division. But the Saints have a top-tier coach. And unlike the Chargers and the Bengals, they have experience. They've been here, done that before. Trevor Siemian also has experience. Limited, but experience. He was a starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos for a good amount of time, and they thought that he was going to be the next guy. So he's not scared of starting in the NFL. If anything, he's relishing and not wishing for Jameis Winston's injury at all, but he's ready. And he probably couldn't wait to play. How many times has the NFL had a team who was already somewhat a middling team, middle of the pack, may make the playoffs, may just finish with a 9-8 record or a 10-7 record or a 8-9 record? And how many times has it happened where they still have a chance to win, to make the playoffs? When your team's already average, you lose your starting quarterback, and you still have a chance to make the playoffs. This isn't a team who's the Buffalo Bills. This is a team who's, again, middle of the pack. But they still have the opportunity. How many times has that happened? I just cut myself off. How many times has that happened? Usually when a middling team loses their starting quarterback, it's probably going to be a lottery high draft pick. But the Saints are a well-run organization, and they still have the chance to make the playoffs. I just took a sip of water. I tried to be quiet with it. Did it work? I don't know. We'll see. NFC East. This is what is expected of the Cowboys year in and year out. This is all the Cowboys fans really want. beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And if you lose to the Buccaneers week 1, we are cool with it. I hear a lot of hoopla of surrounding Cowboys fans. They're overpassionate. Oh, XYZ. There's no such thing as being overpassionate. I'm just saying. I've never heard of that. Being too overpassionate about something. Except maybe your passion can be misplaced in the wrong things. But being passionate, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with being passionate about something. But beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And if you lose to the Buccaneers, week 1 is all right. And they're doing that. 2 to 3 years ago, maybe not 3 years ago, but 2 to a year ago, the Cowboys would have lost that game to the Vikings. This also is another showing of how good the NFL is, how talented it is today. Don't know if it's better than it was in the 90s or 80s or 70s or 00s. I barely remember the 00s. But I do know that the NFL is in very good shape. How many times does a backup quarterback go Sunday night prime time and win a football game? Come back last minute drive, backup quarterback. How many times does that happen? And it's not Tom Brady. The NFL is as talented as it has ever been. Congratulations, NFL. Congratulations. But experience, sometimes it's all you need. And if there was an award for the unsung conference of the NFL, it would be the NFC East. They got a lot of stuff these past few seasons. Worst division. Oh, only you can only win 9 games. You can still win the division. Maybe it's not because the division's bad. Maybe it's because the division's really challenging. You know, we constantly like to look at the negative side of things, but let's look at the sociological perspective. Maybe the wrong behavioral theory, but I'm going to go with it. The humanistic approach, not the sociological approach as I said, the humanistic approach. Carl Rogers. Let's look at the positive side of things, man. Maybe the divisions is really good, but the unsung division of the NFL is the NFC East. Because no one really wants to play the Washington football team. Yeah, it's cool if you play them, but you're not looking at them like, oh, easy win. You're looking at it like, oh, this game's going to be sort of difficult. Right? Eagles, same thing. Definitely have surpassed expectations up to week 9. Jalen Hurts may be better than we actually think. He may have earned himself another year in the NFL, another year as a starter. He was definitely going to play another year in the NFL, but another year as a starter. Maybe this year Jalen Hurts may have kept himself a job in the NFL, even if he doesn't start as a backup quarterback. Sometimes you need a season like this, where you just start, have a solid starting season. If he gets benched, XYZ, unless he kneels, he's in good shape. That was a joke. It wasn't supposed to be like that. I was just saying. I just don't want you to interpret it as a bad thing for kneeling. If he does kneel, good for him. I hope he does, if he believes in it. But it seems like the only way you can get fired or expelled from the NFL is kneeling. But anywho, Jalen Hurts has earned himself a long career in the NFL. Josh McCown had a long career as a backup. Brian Hoyer has a long career as a backup. Chase Daniel has a long career as a backup. Some of these guys weren't drafted in the first round. So congratulations, Jalen Hurts. I hope you win another game. That's all I can say. That's all I can really say. But no one wants to really see the Eagles. Giants played on Monday, and they're a work in progress. Growing pains. Don't stunt the growth. Don't tell them to stop growing. The growing pains. That's what they're going to. But that's another team you don't want to face. We saw against Kansas City. Kansas City. You know, the Giants are like when you see someone and you say hello to them, and then you see them again 2 minutes later, and you already said hello to them, you already had a conversation with them, and it's just like, do I say hello again? And it's just a situation you don't want to be in. Happens all the time on campus. But that's the feeling you get with the Giants. Like, man. I can know you, like, I know you, but I really don't want to say hi to you because I just said hi to you. No one really wants to play the Giants because they're going to make you feel a little insecure. Not a little insecure, but a little indifferent or a little funky when you play them. Like, we should be blowing you guys out, but this is a closer game than we expected. Oh, wow, we're losing to you guys now. It's just how it is with the Giants. Just make it feel a little weird. Speaking of being on campus in Florida A&M University, homecoming week, I'm getting too old for it. That's all I have to say. I'm getting too old for it. It wasn't bad. I'm just getting too old for it. There's a lot of people, a lot of COVID. Wear your mask, people. If I were just to suggest to visit FAMU, to understand, to get a real grasp, a real HBCU feel of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, I would suggest going Parents Weekend. If you're there to party and you don't really care about Florida A&M, go to homecoming. But when I visit FAMU, it's not going to be homecoming weekend unless everyone in my family decides to go. Only time I'm ever gonna go. Only person I went to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University from my family, just saying. Not the only college graduate, but the only one to go to Florida A&M. But what I'm saying is, Parents Weekend would be my suggestion. Still a good time. They have tours. You get a real feel of the campus. Just saying. Parents Weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Parents Weekend. Homecoming is great. Too old for it. But Parents Weekend. My suggestion. If you want to get a real feel of what FAMU feels like. Because, again, Hollywood is homecoming weekend. Hollywood. And there's already one Hollywood in Florida. There's no need for two. There's no need for two. I like wet heat over dry heat, moist heat, humid heat over dry heat, any day of the week over, dry heat. I like moist heat over humid. Humidity over dryness every day of the week. I'm saying that because Hollywood's in California, dry heat. I hear it all the time. No one likes humid heat. Give me humid heat over dry heat every day of the week. NFC West. What a great segue. Didn't even plan it. It's not in the script. I'm just saying, it's not in the script. NFC West has a lot of teams with dry heat. Ooh. Seattle. Do they have dry heat in Seattle? That's the question of the day. Do they have dry heat in Seattle? I'm actually going to pause the podcast and give you an answer to it. Seattle maintains a steady humidity throughout the year. Many cities have a steady humidity throughout the year, like San Diego, California, and Honolulu, Hawaii. You would expect, considering how nice the weather is in these places year-round. I don't know why I read the Honolulu and the San Diego part. Now it makes me question, is it really humid heat? Because when I think of San Diego, I think of Los Angeles, and Los Angeles has dry heat. And San Diego's not too far away from Los Angeles. Yeah, I guess I have to go to Seattle now. But anywho, I gotta start using anywho since I'm naming the podcast that. But Long Beach or Oakland would be the two cities I would live in if I moved to California. Long Beach or Oakland. Those are my top two. The Cardinals have not disappointed. I would not move to Phoenix, Arizona, or whatever, Glendale, Arizona is where the Cardinals play, I believe. I would not move there. I moved to Las Vegas before I moved to Glendale, Arizona. But the NFC West has not disappointed. They've actually exceeded expectations, if I do say so myself. Cardinals losing their last game. Now they're tied with the Rams with one loss. It's going to be a good division. Rams experience is very important because what team was in the same position last year but lost in the regular season to Seattle? Same scenario. The Rams. Experience matters. Different team, but pretty much the same team. Experience matters. So, what's going to happen this year? Are they going to learn from their mistakes? Are they going to come back from their mistakes and win the division? Because, let's say this, right? Even if they would have had home field advantage and they still would have gone to Green Bay, it would have been a little bit easier. Stay at home, relax. You could just stay in Los Angeles for a few more weeks or 2 weeks or how many ever weeks. You get to stay in Los Angeles a little longer, right? You get to relax a little bit more. Then you go to Green Bay, a little bit more rested, a little bit more energy. And then maybe it's a different outcome. Instead of you traveling up to Seattle, having a hard-nosed, tough win, quarterback gets injured, starting quarterback has to come in. Maybe stay in Los Angeles. Your backup doesn't ever get injured. Your starting quarterback's able to heal his thumb a little bit. You go up to Green Bay and you play a little better. Just saying, home field advantage may be a little bit more underrated than I give it credit for. I'm talking to myself right now. Because I personally don't think home field advantage really matters when you're a good team. Right? I just don't think it matters as much. But maybe, potentially. Hopefully DeAndre Hopkins can come back for the Cardinals. He'll be back, 100%. He may be back this week, he may be back next week, but he'll be back. Seattle. Upset the Jaguars last week. Good win. They're 1-2 with Geno, and it's much better than being 1-2 is much better than being 3-0. 0-3. It's much better. And Premier League's 38 games, the NFL 17 games, but it's a long season. 17 weeks is a long season. Week 9 coming up, Russell Wilson is in recovery, it seems like. Don't rush the recovery, Russell. Don't rush the recovery. But he'll be back soon. Seahawks in good shape. Rams got Von Miller. They averaged 20 points scored against them. They averaged 21 points per game. I did those calculations. So, percent error, check it. Check me. Percent error. But 21 points per game. I don't know if that's above or below the league average, but most teams score around 24 points a game. So, I'm assuming it's a little below, but only scoring 3 times a game when you have the potent, high-class offense that you have in the Rams, you expect them to score more than 21 points. Drink of water. That's what they probably expected in the Super Bowl, believe it or not, a few years back. But anywho, I think it's fair to say the Rams are putting all their chips into the Super Bowl pot. They're not looking to rebuild next year. They're not looking to the future. This year is the year. We don't know how long Aaron Donald's got. We don't know how long we can finesse the league with Cooper Kupp and Woods, I believe his name is. We don't know how long. But, hey, we'll see how it goes. That's the NFC, ladies and gentlemen. How'd you like it? Who's going to win the NFC? Who's going to make the Super Bowl this year? Who did I say? Beginning of the season, I said the Ravens 100% and the Cowboys. And that's not looking too shabby of a Super Bowl pick, if I do say so myself. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. Peng Sports Podcast is 72-50 overall. Week 8, we went 11-4, according to my calculations. Do please check if you must on last week's episode, but I believe I went 11-4. This week, trying to go 11-4 again, trying to go 12 and trying to go 15-0. If they're even playing 15 games this week. But teams would kill for 11-4 record. Kill. So pat yourselves on the back, because was that my comeback? Yeah, that was my comeback week, because week 8 wasn't too hot. Comeback week. How do you come back? That's the question of the day. But the name of the podcast is Anywho, predictions. Most likely on American football and other sports I don't know a lot about, like ping pong. Predictions. Jets versus Colts. Jets will be in the same position as the Chargers and Bengals, as I said. They will be in the same position the Chargers and Bengals are in this year. The Jets. But the Colts win. Raiders, Giants. Falcons, Saints. Get well soon, Calvin Ridley. Bills, Jaguars. Come on now. Jaguars. Browns versus Bengals. Steady the ship with the win. Browns. Give Baker one more year. Patriots versus Panthers. Two teams coming off two of the most impressive wins of week 8 and of the season. Those were impressive wins by the Panthers and the Patriots. The battle of the P's. POP, hold it down. I'm going with the Patriots. Totally because 100% wholeheartedly because it's what I've been programmed in my mind to believe, that the Patriots will win every game. Bebop. I'm a robot. Broncos versus Cowboys. Broncos with the upset win. Vikings versus Rams. Rams are hoping the Browns win so they can have some breathing room in the AFC North. They also have to win, and I believe they will. Ravens win, beat the Vikings. Vikings are in a difficult position, man, because they can make the playoffs. But it's just because if you change something about the Vikings, right? The wheels may fall off the wagon. But it could lead to a dynasty of riches. Because they have this team. Kirk Cousins good. They have a great receiver. They have a solid coach. They have one of the best running backs in the league. It's just one of those things. We have a good thing going, but we're not going to win a Super Bowl, but we do have a good thing going. And a lot of people won't understand this. Vikings, Jaguars, Titans, Falcons, Saints in some respects, Jets. We just really want a good team. A good representation of the city. That's what we care a lot about. We would love to win a Super Bowl. The Jaguars would love to. I would love for the Jaguars to win a Super Bowl. But just show me a team that represents the city well. And that's what the Detroit Lions have. Even though they haven't won a game, they have a team that represents their city well. That's all we ask for. right? And the Vikings have a team that represents Minneapolis well. When you say the Vikings, no one's saying, oh, the Vikings. When I say the Jaguars, people say, oh, the Jaguars, but they just don't know. So I don't blame them. They don't know about the Jaguars. But when you say the Vikings, they say, oh, respectable, right? Shout out to the Jaguars. Shout out to Jacksonville. But it's just one of those things with the Vikings, right? Where do you change it and it bust, or do you change it and you dynasty of riches, as I said, right? So, very difficult predicament that you're in. You're in the middle stages, you're in the middle ground, you're a teenager, you can't hang out with the adults, you can't hang out with the little kids, but so you're gonna have to find people that are your age. And finding people that are your age is more difficult than you think as a teenager. Let's not delve into my childhood, but let's delve into the Texans versus Dolphins. This is a game where it's a bittersweet game because two African American coaches play each other, so you're guaranteed a good feeling, but you're also guaranteed you know? Texans versus Dolphins, I'm going with the Dolphins because they're home. Chargers versus Eagles, two teams with opposite projections at the moment. One's going up the roller coaster. Maybe they're going up a loop. Maybe they're about to drop. And the other team's going down the roller coaster. They're hitting the job, hands up, having a good time. They need to get on the roller coaster again. Or take the blue dragon instead of the red dragon, like in Islands of Adventure. If you don't know, you don't know. But if you do know, you know. Ice Dragon, Fire Dragon, Islands of Adventure. Shout out to Islands of Adventure. If it is even Islands of Adventure, it may be Busch Gardens. But I'm pretty sure it's... If they even still have that ride. When I went for Grad Bash, did they still have... Was it Islands of Adventure or is it Busch Gardens? Comment below. Which ride was that? Which park was that? Blue Dragon, Red Dragon. Get to choose which one you're gonna... Anywho, I believe the Blue Red Dragon was more... I don't know. We're getting sidetracked. Chargers versus Eagles. Eagles. Packers versus Chiefs. Packers. Do you see a pattern? Cardinals versus 49ers. Cardinals bounce back. Titans versus Rams. Titans. Adrian Peterson comes back and surprises. Bears. Steelers. The Bears. Bears are sort of in a similar predicament as the Vikings. Drink of water right there. You can change it. But if you change it, it could not turn out too well. And that could be your job, general manager. But if you do change it, you could have a job for 20 years. Because you won them a Super Bowl and you gave them a dynasty of riches. For some reason, I think there's another game. There's not. But Titans versus Rams, Bears versus Steelers, Titans, Steelers. Congratulations to the Braves. Congratulations, man. That series was won with Game 4. I said last week, Game 1's the kind of game that we look back. That's the obvious one. But I really believe that game was won Game 4. Astros up 2-0. Dansby Swanson hits a home run to tie it. And Solskjaer, the MVP, I didn't think they were going to give it to him. I thought they were going to give it to Dansby Swanson. Dansby Swanson, how do you come back, Dansby? He came back. Had some errors, hit a home run, and balled out. 2 home runs in clutch situations. That's how you come back. Congratulations to the Braves. Congratulations to Solskjaer. Game 1 and Game 4, the reason why they won the series. And yeah, this World Series wasn't, I guess, high offense, 8-9, 7-8 game. Even though they did score, the Astros scored 9 runs. The Braves scored 7 runs yesterday. The Braves, I believe, scored 6 runs in game one, if I'm not mistaken. But this is what happens when you have two balanced teams. It won't be a boatload of home runs, a boatload of hits, but it will be good batting, and it will have solid pitching. Do both teams have necessarily an ace? Charlie Wharton, I guess you can't consider it an ace. But neither team really has an ace. But this is what happens. I guess you can get a somewhat boring, more of a more boring series. I was trying to figure out a way to say it. A more boring series when you have two balanced, good teams. But it could be boring, or you could look at it in this respect and say, it's just class. It's class is what both teams had. Class. Two very good teams. Again, congratulations to Solskjaer winning the MVP. Dansby Swanson, congratulations for coming back. Freddie Freeman, if this is the last year in Atlanta, congratulations, Freddie Freeman. You delivered a World Series. May have not been expected, but you delivered it. My question to the Braves is, how does it feel to fulfill a dream? I haven't figured that out yet. I haven't had that feeling. But I assume if I live a little bit longer, I can get there. Again, congratulations to the Braves. Well deserved. Well deserved. No one take it away from you. And I could, if I do this so myself, perfect timing. The NWSL playoffs start Sunday. Chicago play Gotham. Then the Spirit play North Carolina Courage. No segment on them because it would be a disservice for me to talk about them because I don't know enough about it. I just don't. I know some players, but I don't know enough about it. But I will be watching. And I will be, every closing until the NWSL playoffs end, I will be discussing the NWSL playoffs. Every closing. So, can't wait for Saturday. I believe the Chicago Gotham game is 3 o'clock. Champions League today. Remember that. Champions League today. Chicago play Gotham. Then the Spirit play the Courage. 3 to 5. Forget football. I'm watching that. It's not because I'm woke. It's because it's playoffs. It's the playoffs. This is regular season, week 9. The playoffs start Sunday. Playoffs, regular season. I'm going to watch the playoffs because it's going to mean a little bit more. But anywho, NWSL playoffs, Sunday. Remember, Sunday. Believe 3 o'clock. Where can you watch it? Paramount Plus, I know for a fact, has it. I don't know where else you can watch it, but I know Paramount Plus definitely has it. Paramount Plus, if you got HBO Max, I said this in earlier podcasts. I'm referencing a lot of stuff, but I said this in earlier podcasts. Paramount Plus is way cheaper than HBO Max, and it's cheaper than Netflix. And it's cheaper than, I don't think it's cheaper than Prime if you're a student. But I would suggest Paramount Plus. You get to watch your local NFL games. So if you're in New York and you're a Jets fan and you're visiting New York and you want to watch a Jets game, you can watch a Jets game. But on Paramount Plus, I 100% believe, and I will maybe tweet about it. First tweet in like 2 months, I believe. On the Peng Sports Twitter, I'll post where you can watch the NWSL playoffs. Anywho, that this was sort of my closing, if just to let you know. Remember, nice guys finish first. This has been the Peng Sports Podcast, episode 36. Finish your week strong. Anywho, thank you.
Ouvrir enfin les bras.